18, under 20. I just, and anytime anybody asks me about my journey, I just say, just be really, really good where you are, and don't pass up opportunities to learn and improve yourself and, have a good ear and listen to other people, but just be great where you are and things kind of fall into place. And, I was lucky enough to have that happen to me.
Tom, I do know this about you. You sort of had goals always in the back of your mind. In fact, I believe you had something written that provided you as a reminder.
Yeah,
Um, can you allude to that? Because I know I'm not one of those guys who wrote down, I want to coach in the NHL, or
right.
I just sort of felt like the poor immigrant boy who was just going to take what he could and
Yeah.
enjoy life. So, can you talk about, your goal setting and your aspirations and what you did to get to where you got?
Well, again, I had great coaches growing up. I can name all my minor hockey coaches, the names of our teams, the colors of the jerseys. That speaks volumes. None of them were my dad, who I think is the greatest man that ever lived, and that just goes to talk to you about, volunteering and how important that is to have adults involved with, with growing kids. But I was going to University of North Dakota. I was not playing, and I was struggling, with not playing. I was struggling with my academics. I was a little bit lost, and I was sitting in my dorm room in Walsh Hall, and I wrote down 5 things I wanted to have accomplished by the time I was 35. And number one was to be equity of about $500,000. This is 1975, maybe 75, 76, yeah. And I wanted to be married with children. I wanted to be in good health, quote unquote. I wanted to attend church regularly. And I tell people I drive by the church all the time. Um, Occasionally I stop in and sit and just stay quiet and do my thing. And my last one was to coach Canada's national team in the Olympic Games. And that was by the time I wanted that to happen by the time I was 35. And I was in Lillehammer coaching the finals in 1994 when I was 37.
Good. Right on.
But what's really interesting, fellas, and people, and I'm sure all of you have had this question, and Peter and Tom as well. I see Hal on the line. How did you get to where you are? How did you become, head coach of the national team, or how did you get to the National Hockey League, or how did you become president and CEO of Hockey Canada? And I said, I just tried to be really, really good where I was. I didn't look so far down the runway. I set my goals out, no question, but I wanted to be great where I was. And Wally, as you alluded to earlier, learn as much as I can, regurgitate those learnings as much as I could, as it was done for me by a few people on this phone right now or on this call. And, at this stage of the game, um, I think we probably all get a pretty big charge out of all of that, paying it forward. And that's where I am in my career.
Well, welcome aboard, Hal.
Morning.
And I think what Tom just said, the idea of uh, paying it forward, I think, is what we're trying to do with, uh, we're sort of out in left field in the game, but we still watch it and see it and think it a little differently. Uh, but we feel we still got something to offer. And the one thing I'm really curious about, and I want to delve into, Tom, is you alluded to, okay, Team Canada, you went to the uh, business of hockey, the NHL, and then you came back to the sport of hockey at Hockey Canada.
Mhm.
And the ability to merge the different sort of philosophical purposes of of where you were and what you learned from that, what you would take out of it, all that experience. Because uh, I really believe that in the NHL, it is about the business, but there are people there that are really well grounded and well intended.
Mhm.
But sometimes business takes over
Mhm.
uh, and ethics sort of fall by the wayside. But
Mhm.
to elaborate on that a little bit, Tom, and even Dave, having dipped your foot in both pools of water, hot or cold?
I can tell you that I paid a lot of attention to Dave, and how he navigated his journey from, from college to junior to the national team and into pro. I watched him in Europe. It was one of those faces that as soon as you ran into it, it was great. It was like the sun just came up, and I think there's a lot of people that all of us on this call, especially you people, would have people in your lives that would tell you the exact same thing, and if they don't, they're kidding. But I would say that there's very, very good people in hockey, very good people in hockey, and there is a moral compass and there is an ethical perception because of that, but it's real. It's reality. And things go awry from time to time. You may lose your job or whatever, or those types of things. But I interviewed with Cliff Fletcher in Toronto before I went to Vancouver, and I thought this is a remarkable human being. Just how he treated me, how he treated his staff, what I had heard about Cliff. And I didn't take that job as much as it was offered to me, and I felt bad because he was so kind to me and so gracious, but a real pro. Like he wants to take care of his people, and he wants people to maximize their human potential. And then I went to work in Vancouver with Pat Quinn, and there's a common denominator here, guys. These are just outstanding humans that certainly did winning. They did a lot of winning, no question about that. But they built a lot of people and had a huge impact on a lot of young people that, again, brought those experience with them to the next opportunity. And those are my two big ones. And then, of course, with Glenn, um, Glenn's just another great, great man. I mean, he wants the game to be fun. He wants you to work hard. Good enough is never good enough. That's all okay. And the demands of the job are fine, and holding people accountable are fine, just as long as you recognize the value of the respect that goes into that. And for those three, that's all I ever got from them. And quite honestly, I was fired in Vancouver with Pat, and I was fired in New York with Glenn, and nothing's changed. I feel as strongly about them today as I ever did. And Kenny Holland in Detroit, and I've got relationships with most general managers and a good number of the presidents. I think because I was straight up and really did my best to take care of the athletes, my best to win, and hold people to account, but doing it in a manner that showed respect of the game, the people in it, and that was good. That was really important for me. It didn't happen quite that way in Vancouver, only because I was not very good. I needed to be a better coach there than I was, and I didn't understand the player as much as I thought I did. And if I could, Wally, just carry on here, and I see Pete's got his hand up, but Pat Quinn, this is the measure of the man. Pat Quinn was getting pressure in Vancouver to fire me, and he wouldn't fire me. And we were on the road. We were in Washington, and we were playing the next day. And the morning of the game, Pat calls me and he said, "Tom, I need to talk to you. Come on up." And I thought, this is it. This is the end of the road. I get it. I needed to be better. I was pretty self-critical, and maybe not as bad as I thought I was. But I missed the mark with that adult player. And he opened the door and he said, "Tom, I've been relieved of my duties." And I said, "Pardon?" He said, "I've been fired." "Pat, you're kidding me." And he said, "No, I'm going to be flying out of here." Um, the headhunter, I'll just call him that, flew into Washington the night before and met with Pat and basically fired him. And I know Pat. I knew Pat well enough to know that what he was doing was protecting his young coach because he believed in what he was trying to do. Would he have fired me? I think ultimately he probably would have had to, but he was fighting that off because he believed in my ideology. He believed in my ability to teach the game, and he believed I would get it figured out. And he lost his job before me. And that's a pretty poignant time in my life.
Great, great story. Great insights that not many of us can say we've had.
Oh, I got more, Wally.
Al-
We'll leave
Although
it at that.
I'm pretty sure everybody here could put their hand up and say they've been fired. So, and to me, that's a good thing because
Yep.
it's something to learn from, whether you were good, right, or the group around you, something happened that
Yep.
you just couldn't adapt to the mold. I know, and I don't mean to interject here, Peter. I'm going to get back to you, and I want to welcome Brent Dodgy Horse on. He's joined us in Calgary, and Brent's been a guest before, and he's won the Willie O'Ree Award, I believe. So, boy, we've got a pretty hot group on today. But I coached Major Junior for half a season, and honest to goodness, I got fired, and I now appreciate. I never knew what the hell I was doing. I had no coaching experience. I was out of my league, and I actually came to the conclusion, I'm not a coach, I'm a teacher. And I thought that's what I would do, and that's what I did, and sort of found peace.